In this ride we tag along with the Ulysses St John's ANZAC Day ride, and then later in the video we'll check out some motorbikes that run on AA batteries. People going on a group ride and waiting in traffic. But first, this is where we all caught up. It was in the Smith City, or South City I should say, car park, where quite a lot of the riders were already congregated by the time I arrived. But later this number doubled. I think it was about 200, 300 riders all up. Quite a fantastic day actually. Heading into autumn, as you can see, all the leaves are sort of all gone tingy yellow and falling off the trees. Yeah, the ride primarily set for raising money for St John's ambulances, which is a good thing to sort of nod to and raise money for, especially if you're a rider. You always want an ambulance ready. But here I'm trying to find a car park space or a bike space. It's always a dilemma where to park the bike. Trying to find some friends and not feel a bit outnumbered and Billy no mates, since there's so many cruisers here. But yeah, quite a few riders. Anyway, we're going to listen to one of the marshals sort of explaining what's going to happen on the ride. Here we go.
Just remember, we're here for a ride raising funds for St John. We don't want to use them today. We'd really prefer not to use them today. And if you decide you're going to be a bit clever today, we have a meeting in one of these funny uniforms. And I've already given them the briefing that if you find somebody doing something really silly, have a talk. We don't mind. You can find them as well. So we're here for a good time. Enjoy yourselves. There's raffle tickets around. If you haven't got them here, you can get them at the other end. Or the badges will get badges at the other end. Sausages along, there's tea and coffee there. I hope plenty of you supported the coffee lady over here this morning. She's good enough to come in for us. And that's about it. So we'll break out the groups as you go out the gate. I'll be controlling the size of your groups. Remember, if you catch up for a group in front, take it easy. There's no need to pass anyone. There's no need to push anyone out of the way. We're all going to the same place for the same reason. So please enjoy yourselves and lighten your wallets on the way. Thank you very much.
For most of the ride was spent waiting in this car park trying to get out, and I didn't realise these guys in orange to the left were actually the lead riders and we're supposed to keep behind them in the groups, but kind of only worked that out after watching this video. But anyway, it was an awesome ride. Here we see an ambulance sort of overtaking us. I thought it was all part of the ride as well, because it's St John's ambulance that we're fundraising for, but it's actually going to an emergency. So here we go, pull up one of the many lights to get out of the city. This is probably one of the biggest rides I've been on actually. I've been on a few rides, but not with this sort of number. I think the closest was one of the Distinguished Gentleman rides that I went on the end of last year, I believe it was, and that was quite a fun ride with a lot of classic bikes and so forth. But most of the ride, well, bikes in this were mostly cruisers and so forth. Yeah. Anyway, here's an African twin. This chap had some pretty long dreadlocks and we're all a bit worried that they'll get caught on the wheel, but it was a nice looking bike. I think it's recently been released, V-twin, African twin. And here we got a DR800, which is a beautiful bike, and I hadn't realised it's actually only a year younger than mine, from 1992, but this guy had it either restored or kept it in pristine condition, and with his matching bike wears as well. It's quite impressive to see a bike the same era as mine looking like that, since it is almost over 24 years ago. So heading through Hallswell, sort of making our way out to Little River. More traffic even in the middle of the country. Got a damaged bridge ahead, which was damaged in one of the earthquakes. That's being repaired at the moment. This chap tried to pull out in front of us. I guess he was quite impatient trying to get through all these bikes. Yeah, so this bridge is pretty much on one of the fault lines that occurred about 5 years ago, from the very first quake, I think. But it's been sort of under repair over the last year or so, sort of shifting sides. Here we're following one of the lead riders, a Harley rider who was pretty good at riding but pretty fast at the same time, trying to keep up with him. overtaking all these cars, but with the roads here, they're quite straight, got a lot of visibility, feels safe to overtake. There's always that warrior car will pull out and overtake the car that you're overtaking. Here's one of those campers. There's some wicked campers have some pretty interesting slogans that have been in the press lately, and people have been finding them quite offensive, and a lot of campsites have been banning them, and tourist attractions sort of wanting to keep that particular camp brand away. He got overtaken by a Harley for a while. Making our way out to Little River, we sort of passed Lake Ellesmere. There we see Mark, well actually no, it's Lee, Sharish and Mark, who sort of headed out early in the morning so they'd come back from Little River and see all the bikes coming towards them. In a way I wish I'd done that actually. It would probably be a quicker ride and see a lot more, but wouldn't get that chance to see all the bikes parked up in Little River. So sort of making our way along. It's probably about a 40-minute ride from the city, and here there's a lot of pillion riders, and when you're coming up from behind you get quite confused because you see them looking all over the place thinking that the rider's sort of being distracted, but it's actually the pillion as you get closer. So obviously a pillion doesn't have to look where they're going, so it sort of makes sense by the time you get a bit closer. Sort of making our way through the bike traffic, but I decided not to overtake all the way, as it can be quite dangerous, sort of weaving in and out, so a lot of use of indicator and all that. Here's another lake. I think I've talked about it in previous videos. It's a freshwater lake, and it's sort of right by the sea itself, which is quite rare, and it's got a beautiful mirror look to it today. Looking down this valley, you can see the hills being reflected to the right, quite impressive. But apparently it's quite a rare feature geographically of its kind. Here we're kind of getting closer, getting to the showground in Little River, where all the bikes are going to be parked, and we'll get some great money shots of some really rare bikes and a lot of other people's bikes as well. I believe the railway line came all the way up here, and they turned the disused railway into a rail trail for bicycles, which I haven't done yet. Got to try that one. This bit I feel like I was in the Great Escape, going over grassy fields, but not quite as fast or bumpy. Deciding where to park again, most important. I think this is a BSA. Silver Arrow, Gold Arrow, can't remember what they're called right next to me there. Someone will probably tell me. Gold Star, that's the one. Slow. Or Silver Star. So quite a lot of bikes. We'll take a closer look at some of the gems in a second. Here's a Suzuki that we saw Meth rides for a ride a couple of weeks ago. Old RE5 rotary engine. Beautiful bike. It's got a little dashboard cylinder thing that flips open and close. Here's an early water-cooled Japanese bike. I think it's one of the first. A couple of two-stroke. I love this RG400. Chap has owned this for about 27 years and tours everywhere. Just done over 100,000. And here's a Honda NS400R, I think. And a flying brick.
Brake light as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, modified.
Yeah, good.
Indicators.
Oh, no.
A couple of Guzzies. Another bike that's quite close to my heart. A few Nortons as well. And here's all the rest of the other bikes. A couple of rubber duckies. A nice R1. Another Gold Wing. Some Harleys. Blackpool lights. Triumph Tiger. That's a nice bike. I've ridden one a couple of years ago when they first came out. Another Tiger. I think that's the 1000cc Tiger. It was a bike that I was going to save up for, but plans changed. A few trikes. A few more Harleys and twins. And more bikes. Bikes, 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 bikes. And scooters. Yeah, it was a great day. We only stayed around for about half an hour because we wanted to get some food, get some grease. Had some sausage sizzles, which we kind of wanted to jump the queue and go straight to a cafe. The little diner that we usually go to for our rides, when especially when going over to Acaro GP. And here's Ash from Riders of Christchurch. I did a video on Riders of Christchurch about a year ago. If you look back at my videos, find out all about it. They basically take great shots of bikes going around corners, and it's on Facebook, so people get tagged and tag themselves, and people use them as profile shots or shots to frame. The guys just volunteer their time and just do it as a hobby, but it's fantastic photos. I really enjoy seeing their page. Here's the diner that we popped along to, but it was closed. Gutted Anzac Day. And you see some silos there, that's actually a hotel. So we pop down the road to the next cafe, backup plan. And hit the queues. And then after our grease, we gain an extra 10 kilos. Hop on the bikes, performance down. Readjust my mirrors because of my extra weight. And we head off home because we had a curfew. Managed to keep to it. So sun's coming quite low, it's around about 2 o'clock. But quite sort of shaded areas that sort of in winter don't see any sunlight and get quite damp. Got overtaken by a Kawasaki. Neil and I just sort of hanging behind this ride for a while. Neil kind of got a bit of a fright here with this chap overtook in front of him. Always just got to be cautious, eh? A lot of cars don't check their mirrors when they pull out. So it's always treat yourself as always being a prey. This ride was a bit crazy, overtaking everyone, but also overtaking right to a corner. That's what Neil does, his sign language skills. Here we follow Lotus 7. And we decide to take the back roads to avoid that bridge that had a bit of a traffic jam. Now this is a beautiful road. It's a short little road, quite close to the city, and they just recently lowered the speed limit, I think. But here we're going through, and Neil's kicking up a lot of the leaves with the wind from his bike, so it's quite turbulent, and unfortunately the GoPro doesn't pick it up. It's quite impressive. But it's a nice little road, and if I had the money I'd probably buy some real estate or buy a house out this way, because I don't think it will get built up. They do, but it's probably only about half an hour's drive to the city centre, less than that probably. So definitely commutable. Anyway, we're going to come up to the electric part of the video, as in electric vehicles, where we see a couple of racing bikes, or 2 racing bikes I believe, that run on batteries, and a whole lot of cars. Now they're doing a bit of a tour around New Zealand, and I just stumbled across it during lunch break and just pulled out my old phone, so the resolution's not that great. But yeah, so there's a couple of Leafs, Teslas, and some modified old vehicles as well. So this is the old. I think these are racing bikes, but it's an old '80s bike done up as an electric bike. And then there's this other bike here, which will probably do something dodgy to your genitals, if to increase or decrease your sperm count. Not sure, but with all that voltage coming through, it's some pretty insane power. I didn't get any specs on these bikes, but I guess they're bloody fast. And this is a BMW, an old BMW car that's been done up, and a couple of Leafs. But apparently the stats on the Teslas is quite impressive, like 0 to 100 in under 3 seconds, which is insane, especially for a large sort of family-sized car. And it's got these lovely flip-down seats in the boot, so you can turn it into a 7-seater, which I hadn't appreciated. So I didn't get any other videos of the Teslas. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll leave you watching Neil doing his sign language, and catch you next time. Feel free to comment and like. Cheers.